I'm getting goosebumps now, actually, just thinking about it.
You know, you don't expect something to be happening right outside your door like that.
Those were the reactions of neighbors of this Pennsylvania man who was arrested after allegedly stealing more than 100 skeletons from a cemetery in Delaware County and living amongst them. That's where we begin 6 News at 11. Thank you for joining us. Jonathan Gerlach from Ephrata in Lancaster County is charged with abuse of corpse, criminal mischief, burglary, and other related offenses. Between November 2025 and January 6th of this year, 26 mausoleums and underground burial sites had been burglarized or desecrated at Mount Moriah Cemetery, which stretches from Yedenborough to Philadelphia. As police investigated the thefts, they say they caught Gerlach desecrating a monument at the cemetery this past Tuesday. Gerlach was taken into custody and investigators executed a search warrant at his home in Ephrata. That's where they made the disturbing discovery of 100 human skeletons scattered across his house and 8 more human remains inside a storage locker. District Attorney Tanner Rouse described the home as a horror movie that came to life.
We don't know exactly what he was doing with them. Time will tell. They were in various states. Understand, some of these are 200 years old, some of them obviously much newer. There's one that had a pacemaker still attached to the body, so clearly that's not 200 years old. We are trying.
Stay with 6 News as we continue to follow this investigation.
To the families, as the district attorney pointed out, we all have loved ones that passed. Like, rest in peace is rest in peace, and this is definitely something that tears at your heartstring, especially when you see, as he pointed out, an infant having children and grandchildren. Yeah, it was definitely an event.
Okay, a big story tonight. Detectives calling the discovery in Ephrata, quote, a horror movie coming to life. A Lancaster County man has now been arrested in Delaware County accused of stealing skeletons. The Delaware County District Attorney announcing charges against the man you see on a screen here, Jonathan Gerlach from Ephrata. Authorities say he was caught trying to steal corpses from a Philadelphia area cemetery. Thanks for being with us here tonight at 10. I'm Candace Scalise. Some of the remains were reportedly 200 years old. Others belonged to newborns. CBS 21's Maxine Rose is joining us in Ephrata in minutes after speaking with concerned neighbors. But first, we're going to be taking a closer look at the charges filed. Gerlach is facing 26 counts of burglary and criminal trespassing, in addition to abuse of corpse and desecration and theft or sale of venerated objects. Officials holding a press conference today in Philadelphia.
Very simply, detectives walked into a horror movie come to life the other night, guys. This is an unbelievable scene that no one involved, from myself to the detectives to the medical examiners that are now trying to piece together what they are looking at, quite literally. None of them have ever seen anything like this before. When I was 16 years old, a friend of mine was killed in a car accident, and I personally have visited his gravesite, as many people do when they lose a loved one. I know his parents have also visited that site. I cannot imagine what it would put them through to know that someone like this guy had dug up those remains and was doing God knows what with them. It is truly, in the most literal sense of the word, horrific. I grieve for those who are upset by this, who are going through it, who are trying to figure out if it is in fact their loved one or their child, because we found remains that we believe to be months-old infants among those that he had collected. So our hearts go out to every family that is impacted by this. Some of these are hundreds of years old. We are trying to figure out exactly what we are looking at. We quite simply at this juncture are not able to date and identify all of them.
All of that coming out of Delaware County earlier tonight. And moments ago, CBS 21's Maxine Rose spoke to neighbors who say they never expected something like this to happen outside of their door.
Officials have called this a, quote, horror movie come to life. Court documents state that the home behind me is where Jonathan Gerlach brought human remains that were stolen from cemeteries. While neighbors say the house sits unoccupied tonight, the smell of dead bodies just barely lingers. You could see the houses here are crowded together, but somehow neighbors tell me they had no idea something sinister was happening behind closed doors.
I'm getting goosebumps now, actually, just thinking about it.
You know, you don't expect something to be happening right outside your door like that.
Neighbors on Washington Avenue say they've seen suspect Jonathan Gerlach and a woman walking a dog together around the neighborhood.
I'm like, hey, can I pet your dog? Then we started talking about animals and, you know, just like small, like friendly, you know, conversation.
Ephrata police officers have been here for hours. You can see just one of their cars sitting at the back of this home right here. We also know from the Lancaster County DA that she's received some information. Gerlach may have spent time at a local cemetery, but nothing was found to have been missing at this time. Gerlach is facing 26 counts of burglary and criminal trespassing, in addition to abuse of a corpse and desecration and theft or sale of venerated objects. We do know, of course, this is an ongoing investigation. Reporting in Lancaster County, I'm Maxine Rose.
We're working to find out more. But a horror movie come to life, that's how detectives describe this Lancaster County home. And just today, authorities removed some disturbing discoveries. A man named Jonathan Gerlach is being charged after more than 100 stolen skeletons were found here. We have team coverage on this story today with CBS 21's Lily Sexton piecing through the search warrant and Maxine Rose speaking to a former friend who was shedding light on the suspect's past. It's 5:30, I'm Alex Thill. And we're now learning Gerlach was allegedly selling some of those human remains. So let's get right into it. Lily, what evidence did police have against him before this arrest?
They had been collecting evidence against him for a while now. They were able to get physical DNA evidence from the scene of where the graves were robbed. They also were able to collect information from his social media where he's being tagged in people speaking about buying and selling these human remains from him. They also said that Lancaster police got a tip. This was all explained in the search warrant. They received a tip from someone that remained anonymous saying that a family friend that she heard through the grapevine that there is a hanging human corpse in his basement, and that did end up being true after they were able to execute this search warrant.
Wow, and Maxine, speaking of those friends, I know you were able to talk to someone who says they knew Gerlach. Does his friend say he was like this before all of this happened, or that there was any indication something like this would happen?
Yeah, so just to be clear too, I mean, this friend was not mentioned at all in the search warrant, although I do know that there were some names in that search warrant. We reached out to those people and did not hear back. But as for this former friend, he says that there was no indication that he had even any interest in oddities or collecting these sorts of things, at least to this extent, right? He explains that he was kind of into this kind of scene, but never, again, really showed interest in doing something like this.
And Maxine, how does that friend feel now knowing what's coming out about him?
I did ask him that question. You know, he speaks really highly of him, at least when he was friends with him years ago. He said that he just, you know, good people can do bad things, and that really stuck with me because it's interesting. You know, I think everybody is trying to just wrap their heads around the situation, and knowing him at an earlier stage when maybe they were closer with him or got along with him, it's just interesting to see the way things have in a way changed now, but you know, they're still trying to see the good in him.
Absolutely. I want to bring it back to Lily really quick. Lily, how long did this investigation last? When did it start? Do you know those answers?
It first started early November. That's when he's accused of robbing the gravesite for the first time. And since then, he has returned multiple times, or he's accused of returning multiple times to rob even more graves at this historic cemetery, each time leaving behind tools and sometimes leaving behind DNA evidence. So police have been collecting evidence and building a case against him for a matter of months now, since early November.
Wow, interesting stuff there, Lily. And I just quickly want to go back to Maxine before we move on. Have you also been able to parse through his social media pages, Jonathan Gerlach's? What do we know there?
Yeah, so in that search warrant that Lily is talking about there are a few accounts that are mentioned, Facebook, Instagram accounts. So we know that he had some personal accounts there, but we also know that there is another account people have sent to us that allegedly belonged to him that had multiple pictures of skulls and bones on it that he seemed to have been either buying or selling, something of that sort. So we'll talk a little bit more about Trevor, the friend's reaction to all of that next at 6.
Well, thank you both, Lily and Maxine, and we'll see you later at 6. And tonight we're also learning more about the man who is at the center of this case, a man his friends say was just a normal guy. CBS 21's Maxine Rose continues our team coverage and joins us live in Ephrata. Maxine, what did they tell you?
Alex, today I spoke with a man named Trevor Poole. He spoke with me over video call today from his home in Williamsport, but of course we are outside the home right now where investigators have been searching through for the past couple days here. What we know from Trevor Poole is that he was a former friend of Jonathan Gerlach, and he says he met him through the music scene.
Good people can do bad things.
The more than 550 charges filed against Jonathan Gerlach is not adding up for former friends like Trevor Poole.
My reaction is it seems like something like psychosis of some sort. I just wonder what I guess would say triggered him.
Poole says he met Jonathan Gerlach around 2010 while playing at shows with his band called My Hearts of Fear. Poole says Gerlach also joined a band called Road to Milestone as a lyricist and vocalist, and both of their bands would often play at shows together until around 2018.
John was like one of my closer friends that I would hang out with, have brewskis with, and chop it up with outside of the shows. It would always just be him and I talking about, our beliefs, and he's a very empathetic guy. Like, he was always a good dude.
For someone in the heavy metal community, having an interest in oddities doesn't exactly come as a shock, Poole says. But Poole also says Gerlach never even mentioned being into it at the time.
Honestly, like he was very to himself. As far as like social media goes, it seemed like he kept it pretty minimal.
His Instagram page confirmed by documents for a search warrant. It says, quote, the 533 accounts and pages Gerlach is following revealed an abundance of accounts referencing skeleton collections, corpses, taxidermy, human skull store, oddities, and bone museums. But another alleged Instagram page of his shows more.
I think it was just kind of, it blended in. I guess my overall take generally is I never, ever would have expected him to do something like this.
And that is just a little bit of what we know so far about Jonathan Gerlach. But of course, we are actively working to find out more about those who may have known him recently, more recently, I should say. And officials have been releasing information every single day. We are staying on top of this, and we'll give you the latest as it comes. Reporting in Lancaster County, I'm Maxine Rose, CBS 21 News.